Okay, if you have not bought IKEA furniture, please consider yourself lucky because it is a horrible experience. And unfortunately, this is kind of what happens when you buy Salesforce stuff too. It feels very similar to when you buy IKEA furniture. And if you haven't bought it, this is what happens, okay? You go into this showroom. The showroom looks amazing when you walk into IKEA. They have the perfect air fresheners, they got the perfect artwork, they got the perfect lighting. They got the perfect kitchen in the background to put the setting the right way. And so when you walk into the showroom, if you wanted to buy the couch, you see that couch and you're like, man, this is perfect. I want that couch because I want my house to look like this. And so you buy it. And then as soon as you buy it, it goes downhill from there. And why does it go downhill? Is because there's a lot of ifs in that showroom. And they don't really tell you about the ifs. They just show it to you. And then you kind of assume you're getting all these ifs. So the ifs in that situation are like, if you have the right air freshener to make it feel homey when you walk in, if you have the right lighting to get the ambiance just right, if you have the kitchen in the background to make it the perfect setting and size for this couch, if you have all of the stuff set up here with the artwork so that it feels like a comfortable space to be in, then yes, the couch is perfect for you, and then it will be perfect for your house. But they don't really walk you through any of that. They just show you the couch, right? And Salesforce is similar. You walk in, you get this awesome demo from the Salesforce people. They explain exactly why your business is stalled, which none of that is a lie. It is stalled because there's a lot of inefficiencies, and that's why you were interested. So none of it is lying, but they're not really going to expand on the ifs. They're not going to say, if you have an experienced Salesforce team that knows how to put it together, if you know how to put it together, if you know what should and shouldn't be automated, if you know what you should be looking for to scale your business up, right? They don't tell you that part. So it's similar to this, right? You buy it, you read these instructions. They're really infamous. IKEA is to having like all of these pieces when you purchase it. We just bought a dresser not too long ago. It came from Amazon, but I'm pretty sure it was like an IKEA piece of furniture. And bought this dresser and we basically went through the same thing. I'm putting it together. There's, for whatever reason, all these like little wooden pegs that they have. There's screws everywhere. There were staples. There was like all this stuff that we had to do, and it took forever to put this thing together. So the reality is, I see this picture on Amazon. I bought it. It looked like an awesome dresser. It shows up, and like everything is disassembled, and you got to assemble like 500 things, right? And there's like drills I had to use. There's like a stapler gun I needed to use. There's all this stuff I had to put together that luckily I had, but they didn't tell me that. They didn't tell me that I would need all this stuff. And then same thing down here. I got to this, right? I put the dresser together, and then I end up with like all these extra screws and all these extra like wooden peg things that I thought all had to be used, and they weren't. So I'm like, okay, I know I missed something, but I have no idea what I missed because the instructions are really bad. They don't tell me what I actually need to do. So you kind of end up like this, and this is what mine was too. I kind of get to the end, and it's more of like, I just want to get this thing done. I don't want to keep messing around with it. So it's good enough, but it's not really what I bought online. And Salesforce, you do the same thing. You get back, you open this thing up, and the first thing you're probably going to see is this. There's like menus everywhere. There's all these tabs. There's all these things on your face. And it's like, where do I even start? What is step one? How do I actually go through this thing? And you won't have that. You don't have a step-by-step tool to build it out because it's so custom. It's meant to be built for your business. So if you don't know anything about it, it's going to be very, very hard for you to do this alone. I'm just going to take the full confidence step here and just say you won't be able to do this alone. This is going to be very difficult, and do it right. Okay. If you have a Salesforce team, step up, but you're still likely not going to do it right. How do I know that? I was a Salesforce admin before I started doing my own business, and I did that for 6 years. And when I did that myself, I know that if you're watching this video and you're a tech company scaling from 10 to 100 million, you probably are not paying for a Salesforce architect. You probably don't even know that that's an actual role that you could even hire a Salesforce person to do. And you probably don't want to pay the amount of money that they're going to ask for if you were to hire them. The only time I ever worked with an architect is when we worked for like companies that had like 2,000 employees plus. Okay. And at that point, they would hire one. But what an architect does is exactly what it sounds like. They're the person building the house. They know all this stuff about Salesforce and how it's all supposed to fit together and how you should build it. And without that architect, you end up in that situation I just showed you where you kind of get down here and it's like, cross our fingers. I hope I built it right. but you usually end up with this situation down here. It's not really built right. It's just kind of does somewhat of the job, and you run into a lot of hiccups along the way. So you open it up, you realize that even if you have a Salesforce team, they don't really know what to do. They're more of like a task taker, an admin is. They're relying more on you, the business, to tell them what to do and express the vision, and they can kind of do the technical side, but they're not really there to tell you how Salesforce is all supposed to fit together. It's just not what they get paid for. And if they are, and they do know that, they should definitely be asking for a lot more money, because you get paid a ton more in comparison to an admin if you are an architect. So chances are really slim, even if you have a team, that they would know what to do too. So what does that mean? Well, it means you're kind of in the situation you're probably watching this video for, which is you want to hire a consulting firm to come in and do that if you're not going to hire an architect to do this for you. So the Salesforce team can come in, we can help implement these things, and we have architects that will come in and talk about how is your pricing model? How is your business built out? What do we need to automate? How do you sell a deal? How do you actually close a deal? What does your sales team care about? What does your marketing team care? We walk through all that stuff on your business. And then based on that info, then we build out your Salesforce and we tell you, oh, okay, well, this is the way you guys do business. So we want to build it this way because this is what's going to make the most sense for you. Well, there's a lot of people out there that still have kind of the arrogance and cockiness that, they have a developer team, they have full stack engineers. We have all these people on our team that are super smart and they built all of our products out. So they're going to know what to do. And so they hire these people to do it. And I'll kind of even kick it back. When I was at a full-time job as a Salesforce admin, there was legitimate talks that there was someone over the engineering team that wanted to can my team of 5 because they were so confident that the dev team could just take it over. I don't know what gave them that confidence because they don't know anything about Salesforce, but this happens all the time. They just kind of think these guys are engineers. Why are we paying this extra cost for people that are just running this little Salesforce team when there's only a few of them? We should just can the team, right? So this happens a lot. And so they get this confidence that they think they can do it. And they go through this process. And tell me if this is you. You go through this trial and error setup. You try to do it all on your own. You're sitting there building something out. Doesn't work. You try something else. That doesn't work. You try it again. And pretty soon you're into all these YouTube tutorials. You're into them really deep with all this information you're trying to figure out on forums, on all these different threads online, on Reddit, whatever, trying to figure out how to do this. And you kind of get to that same spot that I showed you in the diagram where you get to the very end and it's like, I don't even know if this is right? I don't even know if I built this right. And a lot of the time you don't, and you start tripping up on all the automation that you tried to attempt to build, and it doesn't really flow with the business, okay? So all of this, I'm really trying to figure out like the timeline at this point. What it feels like to me is that when someone first purchases Salesforce and we tell them this, it feels like they try this out for like 6 months to a year before they finally admit defeat and they come and hire someone like myself, or they hire a full-time person to take over. And so they go through this whole process for a little bit of time, and then they end up with this horrible situation where they're annoyed with Salesforce. They feel overwhelmed because they're doing Salesforce work and they're supposed to be doing their job, and they're not really doing either one of them very well at that point. And you're spending a bunch of time and money on this product that you bought that you thought was going to make life better for you, and it's not. So you feel swindled or you feel tricked. You wonder why Salesforce is such the hype, because it didn't do anything that they claimed it would do. And so you're thinking of that showroom and you're realizing, man, there was a bunch of ifs in there and they didn't tell me about any of those ifs. They didn't tell me I would need somebody that knows how to set this up. They didn't tell me I would need to understand how to build something out in code. They wouldn't tell me that I needed to understand all these updates that happen every year in Salesforce and keep up on them so we keep best practices, right? They don't tell you any of that stuff. And so even when we try to tell people that this is going to happen, you will go through this, they still are usually pretty determined to figure it out on their own. And they go through this situation and burn through a lot of their cash, burn through a lot of their money. Okay. The annoying part here is that you could actually just skip it. You could just pay to skip the line. You could just pay and have someone like myself come in and do this for you to where you're not dealing with it yourself and it gets done right. The most important thing that we focus on when you do hire someone like us is not only are you saving all the frustration and the ease of use, and it's just a way better experience, you're not slamming your head against the wall every day because you hate Salesforce. That's a bonus, right? But the best part is the people that you hired to do their original jobs weren't doing their jobs. So then you start adding up the time and the money that they spent on not having the sales guy sell more deals, right? So he's over here trying to figure out how to mess around with Salesforce and figure out what leads should do and where we should update the leads and update the notes and why the lead isn't in Salesforce, right? He's doing stuff like that. And it adds up to all this percentage of his day every single day. And it's like, well, if we were to actually zoom out, what if we gave that guy 20% more of his time back, right? What if we gave him 4 hours back every single day or 2 hours back every single day? That adds up, right? 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 40 hours a month, whatever it ends up being. And it's like, if you had a sales guy for 40 hours a month, how many more deals could you close? How many more leads would you have been able to follow up on? Same with marketing. How many more campaigns could you have run? How many webinars could you have run? How much more focus could they have had? CS team, you think the same thing. How many more complaints could we have handled? How many more reviews could we have gotten? How many more issues could we have avoided? Right? So all that stuff stacks. And that right there is actually what is not allowing you to scale your business. So that is the problem. I could automate all I want in Salesforce. It doesn't make your sales team better, right? But what does make them better is them staying on the phone longer, following up with more leads, getting more practice, getting more coaching from their sales manager. So as we give you time back, so you don't have to sit there and mess with Salesforce, then they get better at what they're supposed to do. And then that's when you actually start to see the business start to scale. That helps when we're building it the right way. So Salesforce is never a blocker for you as you guys continue to scale up. Okay. So that's what I want to kind of share here. And I actually have a working example. It's really cool, actually. I'm going to show you right here. So I built this out. This is basically a calculator. Okay. It's going to show you the actual impact that you're having on your business by having other people try to build Salesforce for you and honestly just doing it wrong. So over here, we got money that you're spending per year on a person. We have some math that's going to work it out to tell us how much that costs you per hour, because we need to know that so we can understand if they spend an hour on something, how much does it cost you? So over here, we have 125. This is set up for like a sales rep right now. So let's just keep it for now. So you have a sales rep, you pay them 125 grand a year. That doesn't include commission, doesn't include PTO, doesn't include benefits or 401ks or any of that, okay? It's just, this is probably a pretty good base for your mid-tier sales guy in the US. So we have 125, there's 52 weeks in a year. We're already taking out 2 weeks of vacation. And then we have hours worked per week, 40. They probably do a little bit more as salespeople, but we'll keep it at 40. That means you're paying them $63 an hour, okay? Now, if you have 1 hour a day that they're messing around and just one sales rep doing their thing, that comes out to $63 a day. Not a big deal, right? 13% of their time, though, that actually is a big deal, right? If you stack that every single day, that you could get them 13% more back in their day to sell more deals, right? And then if you look at this in a yearly manner, though, it's still close to 20 grand that you're spending by not solving that problem. Honestly, though, if you had just 1 hour and one guy doing one thing, I'd applaud you, because I've never seen this. It's always way more than this. It's always more people involved in this. So honestly, if this was your only problem, you would be running really great. As you can see right here, this is helping you understand. You would be in top tier condition. You'd be in top tier condition of what you have automated. This is likely not going to happen, but I want to show you just the one impact, right? 20 grand is still 20 grand that you could be spending elsewhere every year that you're spending on just him trying to figure something out. So this is probably going to be more like 2 hours a day, right? And this is probably going to be if you have 20 sales reps right now at 10 million AR, you're probably around that. So let's say it's 5 sales reps that are spending 2 hours a day out of your 20. Now all of a sudden you got $162,000 a year that you're spending, and you have 25% of their time being wasted. Right? So now we're in a situation where it's this is just 5 sales reps messing around with something that takes them 2 hours a day. And if you think of that, what can that be? Think of all the lead stuff you guys make them do. If you have a lead come in and it's not automated, they're trying to take that lead from an inbox, copy paste it into Salesforce, try to figure out who it should get assigned to, try to figure out if it's been updated, try to see if somebody else is working it, try to see if it's the right time to reach out to them. There's all these things inside of that process that could be automated that they think through every single day that they're probably doing manually. So how would we solve this? How would I actually know how to do this? Easy. What we do is we give you a free audit. We come into your business. This is all free. Give you a free audit. we have you answer some of these questions, right? Which is, how you got to kind of tell me some of your business stuff. Like, what is your CAC? What is your LTV? How long does it take you to close a deal? How long does it take you to respond to a complaint? How long does it take you, some basic business metrics. Based on that, we're going to look at the most horrible one. So let's pretend it's customer service for this example. Let's say you take 3 days to get back to somebody who creates a case for you. That's bad. You want to get that down to like minutes, right? If not quicker than that. You almost want that instantaneously. Someone reaches out, you want to give them support right away. So how do we close that gap? Well, then I have you walk me through the process. What do they do? How do they do it? Do you take forever? Do they have to do all these 1,500 steps inside of Salesforce to then figure out what they should be doing to then answer the case? Cool. We can automate that. We can create a knowledge base. We can make the information more relevant to them. We can assign it to the person that knows how to solve those cases specifically, right? So we can figure those things out, all the repeatable tasks, and get that time down lower, right? And then once that time's down lower, that's going to help you scale your business to the next level. And in that process, we can actually ask them, how long does this take you, right? And they tell us, well, this takes me about every 15 minutes, every time I get a lead or every time I get a case. Okay, how many cases do you do a day? I do 100 cases a day. Okay, well then you do the math, 15 times 100 cases a day, right? How much time does that add up to? And you plug it into this calculator and you can actually see. There's some other ones we've ran through with other businesses. Here's some really common things that people run into at your size and what they get paid, how much time they spend on it, how many employees are involved in it. And we usually see this right off the bat where it's like around $1 million that we can come in and save you guys just by doing some of the basic stuff, right? Lead routing, we talked about that. Lead scoring, pipeline updates, follow-up reminders, sales forecasting, quote and proposal generations, cross-team handoffs to CSMs. Then over here on the CSMs, I won't go through all of these, but you can read them on yourself or pause this. You get the idea, right? There's a lot of stuff that is basic things in our eyes that we know we can automate for you and make better, and that will save you a good chunk of money down here. This is $1 million a year that you guys are spending on this, and 75% of their time being wasted, right? That we could put back to them actually doing their jobs. So really cool to see that and the impact. And that's what actually matters in this video. Okay. So better way to do it, right? Salesforce is fully built. You're not losing parts. You don't have things that you don't know how to do. You're not crying every single time there's a problem and you feel super upset because you have no idea how to fix it and it's costing you thousands and thousands of dollars and hours of wasted time. You don't need to do that. Okay. You can get your team back to their real jobs, selling, marketing, keeping clients happy. DIY is not the answer in this situation. I know there's a lot of cool things out there that you guys do as tech companies that you can figure out and you should figure out. This is not one of them. This is not one that you feel like you should mess around with, that you have no idea how to do it, and you want somebody to come in and do it for you. This is one of those situations you do want to choose the latter so that they can come in, do it right, make sure you guys are set up, and it does not slow you down. If there's anything that matters more in a tech company that I know than money, is it's scaling, how fast you can scale, how fast you can get to the next level. Almost all of you are competing with some kind of product or service that is trying to beat out your competition because you believe it's better. And when you believe it's better, it's always a race to beat out the competition so that you get the market share so that you can actually provide your solution versus the other guy. So I've been in all these environments. This is all we do now is help tech companies. But even before that, all my full-time jobs were at unicorn companies. Vercel, Podium, Divvy, Health Equity. I worked at all those companies. I know exactly what it feels like to be in that pressure cooker. And I know all the internal meetings that we had, they were always about scaling, almost always, right? It was, how do we hit the next milestone? How do we scale? How do we make ourselves bigger to the market so we can either IPO, we can get acquired, we can become the household name for this kind of thing that we do, right? So all of that to say, if your goal is actually what every other tech company I've ever worked with is to scale and get to that next milestone as quick as you can, then what you're going to want to do is just hire somebody to come in and do it. Don't mess around with it yourself. It's only going to cause frustration. That's it.